Hello my lovely friends, my name is Ava and here are my favorite romance releases from 2024. These are a bunch of romances that I loved that came out this year in 2024. They're new releases. These are the best of 2024 to me, for me. So let's get into these books. We're gonna just be going in order that I read them or the order they were released in. First is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas, the next book in her Crescent City series. If you're wanting to get into this series, I do recommend reading the Court of Thorns and Roses series and the Throne of Glass series before diving into this one. Book number 3 in the Crescent City series, can't really say anything else, but it was really good. I enjoyed this one. I wish there was more about something, but I can't talk about it, but I really enjoyed it anyway. Ready or Not by Carbas Stone is next, and this one is a surprise baby romance. However, the baby daddy is not our hero. Our heroine gets pregnant from a one-night stand from a guy at a bar, and turns out he owns the bar and he like allows dogs in there too. It's like a dog and person bar, whatever. Anyway, it's her romance with her best friend's brother, who's also her best friend. You know what I mean? They grew up together, but his name is Shep, and the moment like he hears that his best friend is pregnant, he's like all in and helping her, and she realizes like, oh my gosh, maybe the man of my dreams has been like right in front of me this whole time, and he may or may not have been in love with her since he was a kid. Yeah, it's really cute. I really loved this one. One of my all-time favorites now is The Friendship Study by Ruby Barrett. This is a friends to lovers romance. However, these two characters meet at the beginning of this book because they've been set up on a blind date by a mutual friend, but they don't have a good date like at all. It's not great. They don't expect to see the other person again until they both show up at this study that the local university is putting on, where they are going to be studying people in their 20s making friendships, because people in their 20s, or even when you're an adult, it is so difficult to make friends. And so yeah, they're going to study them and how they make friendships and whatnot. However, one of the big rules for the study is like you can't fall in love with other people in the study, hook up with them, whatever the case may be, because it's a friendship study. But then the more they get to know each other and become friends, the more they fall for each other. I freaking love this one. Has chronic illness representation, queer representation. Lights Out by Nevessa Allen is next. This one was so good. It's one of my favorites. It's so funny and so good. Our hero is a hacker, and he also on the side dresses up as like a masked shirtless man on TikTok and makes TikTok thirst trap videos. No one knows that they're the same person though. And he realizes that the heroine who actually used to like hook up with his roommate, they don't really hang out anymore, it's fine. He finds out that that girl is actually like obsessed with his videos, so he decides to kind of like start stalking her and becomes very intrigued by her and trying to woo her in his interesting stalker ways. So it is so funny. It's like a dark rom-com for sure. The last book in the Bergman Brothers series came out this year. I'm so sad this series is over. This is Only and Forever. Sorry for Winnie barking, she hears a dog outside. Vigo owns this romance bookstore, and Tallulah's gonna move into the apartment above the bookstore with him to help him run it. And in exchange, he's gonna help her with her writer's block she's currently having when writing her thriller novel. They don't really get along. They're not really friends. They knew of each other in college, but their sisters are best friends with each other, so that's how they know each other really. And obviously this forced proximity romance has the two of them fall in love with each other. Ooh, next is When She's Common by Ruby Dixon. This is her latest book out in the Rizdaverse series, and I have a hard time talking about the full-length books in the series because I feel like you should, well, read them in order, but I'll just say this. The Rizdaverse series is a series about human women who are refugees. They live on this planet called Rizda 3. Most of them are farmers on this planet. That's how they make a living. And there are aliens that live on this planet as well. So the heroine of the story is feeling very lonely. So she's like, let's get a cat. And she kind of has to go through like the black market, like alien black market, to try and get a cat. But then when the cat like carrier appears on her doorstep, goodness girl, months after she's like requested a cat, it's like a huge box, like 10 feet tall. Like she's like, what is in here? And it's our hero. Our hero is like a cat alien. He's called a Praxian. He's been in other Ruby Dixon books, like The Species has been. And he's apparently a royal Praxian on the run. They do not get off on the right foot. It's definitely like hate to love, animosity to lovers. Goodness gracious, Winnie. She barking. But that one was so funny and so stinking cute. Like I loved it. Look, she's trying to look outside. Hey, be nice. Next I have Burnout by Rebecca Genshak. This is the romance between a motocross racer and a gymnast, and he ends up asking the heroine to help him with some of the stunts he wants to do because she's used to doing like flips and whatnot. So it's their romance. It kind of starts out as like enemies to lovers a little bit because the hero kind of insults her and how she can be athletic because she's a gymnast. He's just like, they just do flips and whatnot and spin around. But once he tries to do some of the stunts and stuff that the heroine does, he's like, whoa, this is way harder than I thought. So this one was really cute. I really enjoyed it. I have 2 books by Emma Hamm. I don't own Song of the Abyss, but I will hold up Whispers of the Deep because I'm pretty sure Whispers of the Deep came out all the way in January of this year. And it's like one of my favorite books of all time. I freaking love it. It's a monster romance. Each of these books are like mermaid. What are you smelling? Each of these are mermaid romances, merman romances. And in this one, our hero ends up kidnapping our heroine, who's a human woman. The humans in this fantasy world live underwater, but in like city domes that they've made. And by making these cities, they've hurt the underwater life that is on this planet. And the hero ends up kidnapping her and actually ends up falling in love with her, even though he's been sent to kidnap her and kill her. So I love this one. Song of the Abyss is about another one of those mer people, and he ends up kidnapping the daughter to the ruler of one of the underwater city domes, and she's like all for it. She's like, get me out of this, I hate my dad. There's great disability representation in that one. The heroine is hard of hearing and the hero is an amputee. I have Savor It by Tara DeWitt. This one is a small town romance. If you love Jess from New Girl, the heroine really reminds me of her. The hero is a chef and he's been sent to the small town to open up a restaurant, and he goes there with his niece that he recently got guardianship of. She's a teenager, and he ends up being neighbors to the heroine, who owns this plot of land with like a bunch of animals and gardening and whatnot, and they fall for each other. It's really sweet. I really enjoyed that one as well. Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen is my next one. This one does lean more towards women's fiction. There is like hot moments, okay, but I feel like it's mostly centered around our heroine. Our heroine is trying to date, so she becomes friends with the bartender at the bar across the street from her apartment, and he's like, hey, I know dating online can be really scary and dangerous, so how about every Friday night when I work here, you can bring your dates here and like I can keep an eye on you. And she's like, okay. So you get to read about these awful dates that are very relatable that the heroine has on Fridays. But her romance is with the bartender. So it turned out to be really cute in the end. The Orcan, the Inkeeper by Cora Crane is next. This is a cozy monster romance that Tiffany and I read for our Beam Me Up book club. The heroine of the story runs an inn in this town where monsters and humans live together in harmony. Turns out there's like these pixie termites in the walls, and she needs like a lot of money to fix it. And she catches wind that her childhood bully, who's our hero, who's an orc, needs a fake fiance for a specific reason for when it comes to his business. And she's like, okay, I'll pretend to be your fiance if you give me this money because you're really rich. So yeah, so they get in a fiance of convenience romance, but then they actually are falling for each other. The hero has been in love with her for forever, but the heroine has been obviously very hurt by his bullying, and he does grovel in this one. The last book in the Love Light Farm series came out this year as well. This is Business Casual. Our 2 characters are friends. They don't really get along. It's Grumpy Sunshine, Black Cat heroine, Sunshine hero. But this book starts out with a wedding. They're at a wedding, they're dancing, and the heroine's just like, you know what? Do you want to go do it? And he's like, what? Like, he's like in shock that this gorgeous woman would want to like be with him, and like that kind of just starts up everything. But he's like one of the most golden retriever heroes I've ever read about in my life. So if you want one, you got to pick up Business Casual. You're the Problem It's You came out this year as well. This is an historical romance. It was really cute, really sweet. It's the second one to the Sapphic historical one, Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. That one was really cute as well. I think I read both of them this year, but this one came out this year. Yeah, it's about 2 men falling for each other in a historical romance. And lastly, I have Bull Moon Rising by Miss Ruby Dixon, a traditionally published fantasy one that she has. The heroine wants to be part of the Artifact Guild, which are people who go and hunt down magical artifacts in this city of ruins. And she can only be in there if she has like a male sponsor because she's a woman. They don't allow women. So she gets married to her hero, who's one of the trainers, a part of the guild, and he is a minotaur. And he agrees to this because he needs someone during rutting season because it's very soon. So yeah, it's a fun little fantasy romance read. So I really enjoyed this one, and it is one of my favorite purchases of this year because it's so pretty. Anyways, there you have it. Those were my favorite romances that released in 2024. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books or if you plan to. And if you don't feel like commenting anything else, you can leave me let's do the book stack emoji in the comment section down below. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I will see y'all soon in my next one. Bye y'all.